Hello, welcome to another edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of Crop Life and Crop Life Iron magazines, here with my good friend Lara Sowinski, still in the broom closet apparently. Laura, welcome to the program again.
Thank you very much. I'm getting quite accustomed to this broom closet, so I thought it would be my regular gig. So,
Well, and again, as you said, you moved not too long ago and you're having a lot of work done in the house. So
oh,
hammering, pounding, tearing up tiles, I know that's a very noisy process. So I totally
it's
myself and the viewers appreciate your lack of construction noises going on in the background. So, on behalf of myself and everyone who watches, thank you. By the
you're
way,
welcome.
before we dive in too deeply, I need to get a little shout out. I don't know if you noticed, but I am wearing a short sleeve shirt today in Ohio in February because here in our area, it's supposed to be pushing 70 degrees today. So it's going to be gorgeous.
Wow,
But
wow, wow.
I have to give a little shout out because a couple of weeks ago I was visiting with a bunch of ag retailers based in northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. And I guess those folks, for those folks that I visited, I feel for you. Hearing a lot about blizzard warnings and impassable roads, and if you can, stay in because it sounds like a great day to just catch up on your Netflix. It's not going to be a day to be out and about. Although in Minnesota, I'm sure they consider this a mild storm, but who knows? We'll see. But my heart goes out to my friends there in Minnesota.
Indeed, I think didn't Puxatawny Phil? Aren't we due for 6 weeks more of winter? Wasn't that the? Isn't that
Yeah,
what he said?
yes, and I'm beginning to agree with Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, where he said he used to pull the hog out and you used to eat it. So I'm thinking Punxsutawney a la King might be a great menu item for those of us who are not enjoying the weather.
Oh, brother. All right.
Wrap your head around that, and don't viewers do not be asking me for a recipe for groundhog a la king. I don't have one. Just replace chicken with groundhog and go with the rest of the recipe you find online. I think you'd be fine. So, anyhow, now that we've wasted all this time on nothing in particular, let's report on some things going on in the marketplace. So,
Let's do
as
it.
our viewers might remember, last week, of course, I gave a little report from the annual National Farm Machinery Show. It was held down in Louisville. Of course, last week I highlighted what was going on the show floor. Lots of equipment, lots of big iron to be seen, tires to be kicked. Um, but there were actually a couple of educational seminars that went on, and one of them had to do with sprayers. So I
Oh,
did report a couple of video clips from the speakers, two of the speakers at that event. And my first clip is from Jeremy Hughes from Horst. You may remember them as the company that introduced a new sprayer to the marketplace last year at the Maggie Show and won the Showstopper Award. And here's Jeremy he's talking about a couple of lessons the company has learned in the sprayer market. He mentions three things, but in the video clip that I have here, he's talking mostly about droplet size and drift management. So here you go.
I guess a few things that I wanted to discuss today during the conference here is a lot of the opportunities that we see out there today when it comes to spraying and overall spraying quality here in North America, and taking a lot of lessons that we've learned from Europe and combining those with some of the challenges that we have here in North America. We really see that we're bringing some very unique technologies into the market, and in the overall design parameters and the overall thought process that we have behind the sprayer really get down to the bare bones agronomic opportunities that we have for improving spraying quality. And today for the presentation, I want to go over these three main topics that we address with the new Leap VL sprayer, revolving around those opportunities out there that we have to improve our spraying quality and to do a better job out there in the crop health of our applications. The first topic I want to discuss is droplet management, and then I want to get into safety and agility, and the last topic I want to discuss is timing. And when I talk about droplet management, one of the things that we really see today in a lot of works in the country, whether it's here in the US or up in Canada, is what we call the status quo when it comes to boom height control. Today, when we take a look at a lot of the sprayers that are being used in the marketplace, a lot of the operators that are in the field, the systems that are out there, we're running booms very, very high in the field because we're wanting to go faster, we're wanting to get our jobs done, but we're also sacrificing a lot of agronomic benefits that are there from having a good boom control system. So whereas you see here in the picture where we're getting a lot of drift and a lot of miss the target on the application that we're doing, that's what we're looking at addressing some of the technologies that we're introducing in the new Leap 6300 VL sprayer. So today we're talking about drift and drift management. It's one of the biggest challenges that we have when it comes to applying chemistries to the field, whether we're doing insecticides, doing fungicides, or even herbicides. A lot of the times whenever we're running at these higher bloom heights, we're missing the target. We're creating a very unique loss of efficacy of the chemistry without being able to get it on target. And then also crop and property damage. I don't know how many times I've seen over the past few years, especially as our chemistries have been changing from glyphosate to other chemistries in the field for herbicides. The amount of on-farm damage and also neighbor damage that's happened just simply from drift. And over the years of working with sprayers over in Europe, what we've determined that to have the most effect is in managing drift and mitigating that drift and maximizing the coverage is a superior control of the bloom height. So as we look at today, as we're increasing the ground speeds of our sprayers, we're also increasing the target distance from that nozzle to the actual application target. And that's creating a lot of problems for us out there in the field. So we look at the resistance issues we have today, we look at the added costs of additional applications that we need. All of these things revolve around keeping that nozzle close to target. And with the new Leap VL, there's one big main focus that we have on this system, and this is a boom control system, like none other in the market. So when we take a look at sprayers today and spraying technique, we always want to use a 1-to-1 ratio. So if we're using a sprayer that's got a 20-inch nozzle spacing, we want to have that nozzle 20 inches off target. And very seldomly we're able to do that because of some of the technologies that we have and also the driver expertise that's in the field running that sprayer. So with the new horse leaves, so the auto boom control system that we use, we can either operate this at 20 inches off the target or 10 inches off the target, whether we're going into canopy or whether we're doing pre-emerge applications in the field prior to planting. And along with having that boom control technology in there to keep that nozzle close to target to mitigate that drift and maximize the coverage, we're also going to be showing off what we call our Boom Control Pro Plus, where we'll be dividing up that boom into 5 different sections, being able to have a curve compensation effect to it as we're going across uneven terrain to keep that nozzle as close as possible and keep that boom as parallel as possible as we're going over uneven ground in our fields.
So that's what Jeremy from Horst had to say regarding, drift management and new spray technology. And of course, another speaker, Laura, was our friend Doug Applegate from Praxidine. And Doug gave a nice talk looking at, he was looking at sprayer efficiency and productivity. And he was talking about all the factors that go into that in today's marketplace. Gave a few statistics on, what time is lost, percentage of time is lost when machines are idle. And he actually had a couple of recommendations talking about loading times and how important they are to sprayer efficiency. So here is Doug Applegate commenting on that.
We build automated blending systems. So I want to talk today about sprayer efficiency and talk about productivity of these sprayers. So there is a difference between efficiency and productivity. Big sprayers go fast, they can do a lot in an hour, but to keep them efficient, you got to load them fast and to keep them moving. So ultimately, we don't want to put engine hours on as idle time. We want to put the engine hours on as spraying time. So how productive is the average sprayer? These numbers were shared with me originally from AGCO, which they aggregated this data from their sprayers. And 26% of the engine hours spent spraying and 28% spent idly. The balance was turning around and road time. But that seemed like a really, really poor number when I first heard that, and I was shocked at it, honestly. Other numbers I hear is about a third idle, a third spraying, and a third transport. So all of those numbers on the average are not very good. So there are things we could do to improve that and keep the cost of your spraying operations down. So things that will affect productivity and efficiency are ground speed, pulsing nozzles, boom width, tank size, application rates, and loading times. All of these things can contribute to that, but when we take ground speed, for instance, when we drive faster, we make that sprayer more productive, but you see in the red line, we actually spend less time spraying. So the portion of time that you're actually doing the work you bought that machine goes down. And so we have to look at how do we keep that machine running. So let's go on to the next slide. What happens if we have a wider boom? It's kind of the same thing as driving faster. The portion of time that you use that machine for what you bought it for goes down. So the way you do that, keep that machine running, the biggest main factor is load it quickly. So when I look at this chart, I've got some different sizes of sprayers and I have different loading times. So the red bar is a 20-minute loading time versus 5 minutes in the green bar. But if you look at the 1,200-gallon sprayer and you look at the orange bar, for instance, which is a 15-minute loading time, versus an 800-gallon sprayer on the green bar, they both have the same productivity of about 100 acres per hour. The other thing is, so the guy with the 800-gallon sprayer probably spent $100,000 less for his sprayer. So not that you necessarily need that smaller sprayer, but if you want that small lightweight sprayer, you can keep it productive. The other side of the coin is, let's make these big sprayers more productive and get the good out of them that you're looking for. Likewise, the cost of operating the sprayer is dramatically different. So we priced an assortment of sprayers, averaged this information out, and then looked at the cost per acre hour of productivity. I thought it was interesting that the 800, 1,000, and 1,200 gallon sprayers relative cost of operation is per acre hour of productivity is about the same. The 600 gallon size sprayer is a little lower cost. They put maybe a plastic tank for some stainless, but I think manufacturers just make that sprayer a little cheaper for an entry-level sprayer. So conclusions from the work that we've done on studying this is slower loading times increase the cost per acre hour productivity dramatically. The increased cost ranges from 26 to 42% higher. So just getting those sprayers and keeping them running makes a dramatic difference in the cost of operation.
So that's what Doug from Praxidine had to say regarding sprayer efficiency and productivity. So again, it was very nice, Laura, of course, when you're at an event like the National Farm Machinery Show, usually you're just walking around looking at machines, but some educational material there was provided as well. So thank the organizers for giving us the opportunity to record some good speakers while we were at the event.
Great. Thanks for those clips.
Yeah. So, hey, I guess it's been a little remiss. I know a couple of videos ago, I teased an announcement on the drones front, and I said I couldn't talk about it because it was an embargoed release, and that have some more news available after Valentine's Day. Well, here we are at the end of February, and I hadn't gotten back to that item. So I apologize to our viewers who've been waited with bated breath to find out what this drones technology announcement was going to be, but I'm happy to report that this comes from a company that is based in Israel. They're called Heaven Drones, Heven, no A, drones, one word. And they have announced what they're saying is the first hydrogen-powered drone for commercial use, and that's called the H2D55. So this drone has 5 times the energy capacity of a traditional lithium battery-powered drone, and is capable of flying for 100 minutes with a payload capacity of 7 kilograms. And I apologize, I didn't convert what 7 kilograms is into ounces, but I'm sure it's impressive. But anyhow, this is the first of 3 drones they're planning to introduce here in 2023, between now and the end of the year. And again, according to the company, these models will have better payload capacity and be capable of longer flights. So again, this is a good development on the drones front, because I know that a lot of users of drones have mentioned the fact that the payload capacity coupled with power usage has been a bit of an issue. So hopefully this will be a solution possibly to that problem.
Yeah, I think on the battery technology front, we're likely to see quite a few developments this year
Yeah.
um, at a pretty fast pace. So
Yeah,
cool.
well,
Thank you for
and the other thing about hydrogen, of course, is they're saying this is the carbon neutral thing. So, again, hey, all good for the marketplace. So, yes, if you're interested in that, check out Heaven Drones' website. Like I said, one word, no A in heaven, and you can check out the information on this hydrogen-powered drone for yourself.
Okay.
All right. So you said you had a little news on the international front. I will throw the floor open to you to share that.
Yeah, just a few little tidbits and updates. We've talked previously about the West Coast longshoremen and contract negotiations that started last May, and kind of keeping an eye on them, because certainly we don't want any breakdown in that and then have work slowdowns or strikes or anything. But because it's taken so long, and folks are still at the bargaining table, if you will, during that time, a lot of shippers have diverted cargo to the East and Gulf Coast when and where possible. And as you would imagine, making a significant shift in a supply chain strategy like that,
It
it affects, your rail and trucking and warehousing and so on and so forth. So the fact that we're seeing a lot of diversions now, that in response to ongoing negotiations, there's pretty much, the thinking is, hey, a lot of these diversions will now become more permanent. So we'll see more shifts in the supply chain. Certainly, the ILA, longshoremen on the East and Gulf Coasts, their contract expires next year. They've already gotten a jump on the talks. They realize this is kind of an opportunity, if you will, to secure some of that freight, more permanent changes in the supply chain. So, again, it affects everything. It affects the transit time, ultimately, how and where you get your stuff, how long it takes. So I'm certainly keeping an eye on that. The other thing, kind of like good news, bad news. I know we've obviously seen rising interest rates, inflation, and so forth. But the ocean freight rates, eastbound Asia to U.S. have fallen so dramatically in recent months that, the good news is that the landed cost for parts, raw materials, finished goods coming in, that makes them a lot less pricey, if you will. We certainly saw a lot of price hikes, not strictly because of the ocean freight rates, but certainly that was a big factor. So that's kind of the good news, a little bit of an offset to rising fuel and inflation, et cetera. So
Yeah, as a matter of
still,
fact, I
Mhm.
had seen that before you move on. I had seen an item regarding the freight rates coming down, and I
Yeah.
believe the phrase I saw in the article I was reading said that they were at pre-COVID levels. So based on that,
Yep.
we're back to 2018, 19 rates, which is, like you say, is a very good news for everyone, considering how
Yeah.
much they went up and how quickly they went up. So
Mhm. Yeah, overall, WTO, UN, other global bodies have downwardly adjusted trade growth this year, not surprisingly. So, after all this turmoil the last couple 3 years, again, it's kind of that whipsaw effect. It's now, swung back sharply the other way, but at least it looks like it'll stabilize more this year. So anyway, quick update on that front for you.
interesting. Well, while we're talking international stuff, I did one other item to share with our folks. This might be a bit of a surprise because it was to me. Um, I ran across an item that was talking about corn exports around the globe. Now, of course, U.S. usually leads in that category, but according to the USDA Foreign Agricultural Services, they're projecting that Brazil in 2022, 2023 will actually equal the corn exports of the United States, about 51 million tons from both countries. And again, as they note, this is only the second time that that will have happened. The only other year we had Brazil outpace the U.S. in corn exports around the globe was back in 2012-13, when there was a pretty severe drought in the United States and the yields weren't quite as good as they normally are. So it's interesting. The article I ran across basically said that because the Argentinian corn harvest was not as robust as they were anticipating, that, Brazil's kind of trying to make up a little of the shortfall from them, but also mentioned that with the disruptions from Ukraine because of the war and Ukrainian corn exports being off, that Brazil's making up some of the difference there. So again, if the numbers come to pass by the end of the year, Brazil and the U.S. will be dead even in terms of corn exports around the globe.
Any info on where those exports are going? I know China's a big buyer.
Yeah, the article did mention that, Asia, Africa, which I guess, would imagine, because I know the Ukrainian, based on everything I read about Ukraine in particular, I mean, the Middle East, Africa, that's their bigger market. So it sounds like Brazil's making up some of the shortfall there, which, is good news, obviously, for the consumers in those markets. So.
Right. Interesting, yeah.
Okay. Well, at the risk of not trying to make this a 30-minute video, let's jump into your favorite segment, Fun with Numbers.
Hey, it is my favorite.
Okay.
Now that I'm
and
at
again,
1,000.
this, you're so far, you're perfect for the year. So we'll have to see if this being our last video here in the month of February, we'll have to see if you can maintain your perfect record. Pressure's on.
I was gonna choose like a lucky hat or something like that, but I don't want to jinx it.
Sorry,
I'm
you're
just
still
gonna show
wearing your
that.
lucky earrings, so you're cool
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Actually, that works. All right, so I'm ready.
Okay.
What you got?
So, fun with numbers. This week we get a nice dollar amount. So it is 19.5 billion.
Okay.
All right. So it's 19.5 billion. Is that A, the projected decrease in net farm income for 2023? Is it B, the increase in U.S. exports for 2022? Is it C, the projected value of the hydrogen market by 2025? Or is it D, the estimated cost of sending my son to 6 years of college in 2026 when he's ready to go?
Well,
God
if you're gonna
forbid it be
allow
that
him to
high. Yeah.
explore his, want to take a pottery class and all that good stuff, which we should all do when we go to college. I'll choose D. No, I'm going with A.
Going with A. Well, okay, your perfect record has ended, my friend. I am so sorry. No, actually, there's a projected decrease from net karma income this year, but I don't believe it is quite that severe. No, this is correct. Yeah, the correct answer is B. 19.5 billion was the increase in U.S. exports for 2022.
Really?
Yeah, this item comes from the USDA, of course, and our friend Tom Vilsack, the Secretary of Agriculture. For 2022, international sales of U.S. farm and food products reached $196 billion.
Awesome.
That was an 11% increase from 2021, which comes out to 19.5 billion. And of course, the biggest items for export from the U.S. were soybeans, corn, beef, dairy, cotton, and tree nuts. And those items comprised half of the total exports from the United States. And as I said, this in 2022, that was a record number, record value for U.S. Agricultural exports. And
Yep.
that surpassed the previous record, which was set in 2021.
Oh, well, good. At least if I'm gonna lose, it's on a good news and a good stat. So all good.
Yep, no, all good. So, all right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us this week on behalf of myself and Lara Sowinski. We hope you enjoyed the news. We look forward to seeing you again real soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.